Hello from Hollywood. My name is Anthony Boyer. I've been a talent agent in Los Angeles and New York for the last 15 years, and this is Take Fountain. So this video is going to be about how to network effectively in the entertainment industry. As we talk about a lot on this channel, you are the owner of a small business. And as the owner of a small business, you need to build a business network. When I say networking to a lot of actors, they feel like they start to think about like schmoozy Hollywood parties and like real slick Hollywood types. That is not at all what I mean. This business, like any other business, is built on genuine relationships, not transactional connections. It's easy to chase short-term goals, to just go after bookings and think about, the next job that's in front of you, but that leads to a really transactional mindset. Failure becomes the absence of success, and this entire business is about failure. So what you can't do is start to think about failure itself as a negative outcome. So when we're talking about building relationships, I think that is a bigger goal that you can aim for, is start to know people, start to introduce yourself to people, and you'll find that sustained success comes from the depth and sincerity of your connections. I don't care who your favorite actor is. If you look at their career, I guarantee you will find it was built on repeat business. The same directors cast them in multiple things. The same producers used them in multiple projects. The same casting directors kept bringing them in again and again and again. And that comes from building honest, genuine relationships. We're talking again about authentic relationships, and that means a genuine desire to support each other. That's going to require consistent engagement, not just when you need something. When you meet someone on set, whether it's a director or another actor, maybe you're in an acting class, those people enter your network, and it's really incumbent on you to regularly check in when you don't need something from that person. That's just really important. If the only time you ever hear from someone is when they want something from you, it becomes really obvious. And also, you're just not really building a network that way. We understand in this relationship or in this industry that there are certain people who are in a position to help others. You might feel like if I reach out to this casting director, then I have to say that they need to that I want to get cast in something. They understand that. We understand, as a rep, I understand if I hear from an actor that some level we would like to work together, but you don't necessarily have to do the hard pitch if we have an existing relationship. Value goes beyond money. The value of a relationship goes beyond money. That person might just be part of your growth. They might help you learn. They might just be a sense of support, a system of support. And those are all really valuable, even outside of what you can get in terms of bookings. So how do you cultivate these authentic relationships? Well, number one, I always pledge leading with service. Now, what I mean by that is not what can you do for me, is what I can do for you. If you have a DP that you work with and they're posting about their next project on Instagram, offer to help out. Be a PA on their set, get on their set, meet more people, just promote the work. You can always, retweet or post something on your stories or whatever, and just be yourself, just be authentic. And that can be easier said than done sometimes. I understand that in this industry, there's this sense that you have to kind of be all things to all people, and who am I? And, I'm a shapeshifter and I do this, but like really, there's a lifelong pursuit, and this is for all of us, of really figuring out who we are, what makes us unique, and what is true to us. And I think that like just being yourself and not being afraid to kind of be like the dorky guy who's really into rocks, or whatever that is, whatever's authentic to you, the girl who does stand up and always has a joke, like that's great. You don't always have to be on and playing some persona. Just show people the real you. I always like to stay in touch. Personally speaking, this is a bit nerdy, I'll admit, but I have what amounts to being a CRM, a customer relationship module. So basically, I have like a spreadsheet, and I have all of the people that are really close to me, just so that I can look at it and be like, okay, I haven't talked to that person in a while. You don't have to do that. Don't worry. You don't have to keep spreadsheets. But some sort of system where you're checking in with people regularly, I think, is really helpful. Obviously, if it's someone, say, from your acting class, you're going to see them every Wednesday night or whatever. But people that you interface with a little less frequently, having a system in place where you're checking in with them regularly is really, really helpful. Meeting face-to-face whenever possible. I'm a big advocate of that. I think that's one of the reasons it helps to be in the market that you're working in, your primary market, is just because there's so much value to just sitting with someone and riffing and just talking back and forth that you lose that in like a DM or even in a phone call. It's not quite the same. So if you can meet face to face, that's great. I'm a big advocate of, there's a book Keith Ferrazzi wrote called Never Eat Alone. It's published in 2005. I think this is a really great book to help you think about how to build business relationships. I would highly recommend it. I will put a link to it in the description. I don't make any money off of that. This is not I have no affiliation with any of it. It's just, I find it a very helpful book. And then the other thing I will add is just the power of social media. If you do not want to be on social media, if you don't like Twitter, you don't like Instagram, you don't like Facebook, you do not have to be on it. But if you are on those platforms, utilize them for this purpose. I think it's a really valuable thing to do, a really easy and powerful connecting tool to use it to build and maintain these relationships. Okay, so how do you find new people to connect to? Well, there are lots of different ways. One thing you can do is just attend industry events. What is that? Now, that might be a film festival, might be a convention or a workshop, a seminar. And when you attend these things, do it intentionally. What I mean by that is, like, you're going to want to prepare thoroughly. You're going to want to look and see who's going to be there. Are you familiar with their work? If you're not, get familiar with their work. Again, shifting the mindset to where these are people that I would like to be my colleagues, or these people are my colleagues, and entering into it with the idea that, like, you can provide value to them. And so, it's not like you're asking for a favor from them. So go in knowing who's going to be there, knowing, something about them that you can connect with them. I think that those are just really helpful ways to kind of leverage that time. The other thing you can do is, we just talked about leveraging social media, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Instagram, X, Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. I'm sorry. I tried. And then I think the number one thing there, though, this is an interesting time for social media because many people are just extremely accessible, right? If you watched a film in a film festival, you can find that director maybe on Instagram and jump into their DMs and say, oh my gosh, I really liked your work. The thing I would caution you to do is, number one, just respect their boundaries. If they say something like, please don't contact me this way, respect that. If you DM them and they're like, oh, I would rather you not DM me or whatever, just respect anything like that. But for the most part, people love to connect with fellow artists, people who are inspired by their work. If you're collegial, if you approach it as someone, who could be a potential collaborator. Again, I wouldn't go in with a hard sell. I wouldn't say like, oh, I'd love to be in your next project. Again, that's kind of understood. You're just trying to build an authentic relationship. And I think if you're a fan of someone's work, who wouldn't want to hear that, So approach them as a would-be collaborator, not as a fan necessarily, but, you can be appreciative of their work. Another place you can find people to connect to are classes. The obvious examples of that are like an improv class or an acting class or, schools, for instance. But a cooking class, you can connect with people. Any class, if you take a Spanish class, like those are all people who can be in your network, whether or not they're in the industry, but anything like that can be super beneficial. So just make sure that you're talking to people. I know for some people that's easier than it is for others, but to your comfort level, just make sure that you're interacting with people. And that's a really good way to build your network. And I think a lot of people hear that too about classes and they think like, well, isn't that just going to be a bunch of other actors? And yes, actors are also part of your network. And then the other thing is really just building relationships inside of your current network. So your friends, your fellow actors, the people you're around, collaborate on projects together. Get together and read scripts. I don't know why every actor in Los Angeles is not getting together on a random Tuesday night and reading scripts with each other. I think that that's really fun. You can work on new work. You can try characters that you'd never get a chance to try. You can work with each other and collaborate on projects. And then while doing that, maybe you can each bring in a secondary friend. So now you meet a friend of a friend and now your network has just grown. So I think that those can be really powerful ways to build and grow your network also. Research and target specific industry players. Now this starts to get a little bit intimidating to a lot of people. What I'm talking about is following industry news, following the trades. And I'm talking about utilizing IMDb Pro, which I'm a big advocate of having for your business, and looking for up-and-coming filmmakers, looking for potential collaborators whose work you enjoy, and finding ways to connect with them, to get in the same room with them and share your love for their work, or maybe even share your own work. I think that those can be really helpful. Other ways you can build a network is you can volunteer on a set or a casting office, anything in the process. Ask your agent or your manager if they need an intern. Like, I think that those are ways to learn a bunch, but also to network. So I have an actor who's interning with me right now, and she recently said something like she's interacting with dozens of actors a day. She's interacting with casting directors and casting associates and assistants all the time. She's sort of meeting virtually all of these people that she's never had an opportunity to like fully interact with one-on-one. And so this is a really great way for her to build her network. And, you know, now they have something that they can talk about in a future session. So I dealt with you when I was working for Anthony as his intern. Oh, great. That's, of course, can I send you my materials? All those kinds of things can grow from a really organic place. The other thing I will say is be proactive. Approach cold. If you don't have something specific to bring, if you didn't bump into each other in line at Starbucks, then you didn't bump into each other at the line at Starbucks. Whatever you have, whatever approach you can make it. It's free to approach someone and try to build a relationship. It's not going to be 100% success, but they're also not going to put you on some list to never work with again. So be bold, approach cold. I would say have a compelling elevator pitch. So if you don't know what an elevator pitch is, that's something you're going to probably want to look up, or maybe we'll talk about it in a future video. An elevator pitch is essentially, every business owner has this. If you're in an elevator with someone and they hit the 30th floor and you're riding up 30 floors together and you're going to pitch them your business or you as an actor, have a really refined pitch that you can go to kind of convey who you are, what you do, what excites you, what kind of projects you're into. And then just have something to talk about, which sounds easy until you have to come up with something to talk about. So I would have a couple of go-tos, you know, something, watch more content, be able to talk about that, be able to recollect that, you know, what are you watching? Talking about those things, I think, can always just be really easy sort of icebreakers. Okay, great. So we met someone new and now they want to meet you for coffee. Now what? The number one thing I want you to work on is active listening and showing genuine interest. I really am I like to listen. I want them to talk most of the meeting. I don't want to be pitching myself, pushing myself at them. You're going to find your own comfort level, but I will say most people could stand to talk less in a one-on-one meeting. One of my life-changing books, like one of my guiding star, North Star books, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Published in 1936, and here in 2025, it's every bit as relevant as it ever was. The number one rule that Dale Carnegie gives is to learn people's names and use their names because there's power in names. But that's about connecting and remembering and paying attention. So in this conversation, just listen to what they're saying, ask follow-up questions, have some questions that you might go to, but I like to try to keep them talking about themselves as much as possible. In so doing, you're going to want to find common interests. Maybe there's a nice follow-up. Maybe you find out that they're a big Dodgers fan and you're also a big Dodgers fan. So you're like, hey, listen, like I've got season tickets to the Dodgers, or I was going to go to a game this Saturday. Would you want to come with? Those kinds of things, those common interests, even if it doesn't pan into a second meeting, now you've got something you can talk about, right? You can make them feel valued. I think a great way to do that is just to ask their opinion. Not like, hey, what do you think of my headshot? But like, hey, you know, I've been thinking about maybe getting some new headshots. Like when you look at headshots, what do you like to see? Like what appeals to you in a headshot? Making it about them and their interests and what appeals to them. And then the most important thing is follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I cannot stress enough how important it is. If you don't hear from someone for a while, follow up. If you do hear from someone, follow. Like just make sure that you're sending timely and thoughtful follow-ups. You don't have to send gifts. Thanks for having coffee with me. You don't have to do anything, but literally just follow up. Say, hey, it was great to meet with you. I'd love to do it again sometime. Or, you know, we talked about the Dodgers. Like, here's some information on that game I was talking about. Those kinds of things are really, really necessary to maintain those relationships. It can turn it from a meeting into a relationship. There's a bit of an art to understanding when and how to reach out without like seeming intrusive. But I would say like you can reach out a little more commonly than you think, more frequently than you think. Yeah, but just respect their time. You know, if they say, oh, I've been really busy or whatever, that's fine. So we'll just put them on the spreadsheet and we'll follow up in 2 more months and check in with them. So anyway, I hope you got value out of this video. Again, my name is Anthony Boyer. You're watching Take Power. Thanks again. Well, that's great. Congratulations. This is a huge win. I really like celebrating our wins as they come. And I think that this is a big one. You were bold, you were approached cold, and now you're going to have hot coffee. That's to me.